Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mythic Banter. I'm here with Akalon. We're going to be giving you all of the recent news and details on the gaming industry, as well as, obviously, a little bit of drama, because that's just the show. That's just the way it is.
Yep.
Now, last time, I told you that the Farum Knight was going to get it, but now his sword is broken. So, who's going to get it today? Let me see. Oh, yeah. This one used to be, you know that this one used to be really rare?
Oh.
It used to be really rare, like back in the day when Amiibos first came out.
Yeah.
They were selling this guy for like $200 or something.
Holy crap.
Because the scene wasn't as big in Portugal, I just went to a store and bought it like retail.
Yeah.
And the only reason I bought it is because it was so expensive everywhere else. Now, you will subscribe and hit the like button, or Marth over here gets it. He gets it, dude. I'll pull the trigger. Don't try me. I'll end his career, dude.
Yeah. Subscribe or this character that I know absolutely nothing about gets it.
No, I do know about him. He's from Fire Emblem.
I mean, I don't know anything about him.
No, I know how to trigger the Fire Emblem fan base.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna do the thing you guys hate. He's Swordman from Smash Brothers. It's one of the sword characters in Smash Brothers. You don't know, Marth?
I have no idea what any of that means. But hey, as long as the fan base gets it. No, but really, you guys subscribing really helps out a ton. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which would be really awesome if we could finally get there. That way the editor can get paid. Right now she's working for free, living on the streets like an absolute gangster. So we would like to get her into an apartment at some point. So, subscribe. Guilt trip maybe works.
Damn.
Yeah, that's dark, eh? But all right. No, Naomi does have another job, but she does edit for us, and she does a pretty good job. So subscribe if you like the editing thus far. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, I know Rurikon said that we're going to be bringing you the gaming news. Sadly, this week, the gaming news is drama. Like, this entire thing can literally just be called Drama Ahoy, because that's all we have. It seems like everyone sort of kept the gaming news under wraps for Gamescom. And then Gamescom happened and we got some gaming news. And then everyone was sort of again holding off for a Tokyo Game Show. And then a week before the Tokyo Game Show starts, the entire industry shits the bed at the same time. It is just
there is one portion of the industry that is not crapping the bed that I actually... Strangely enough, it's so close to me, and I forgot to put it in the notes.
Oh, what is that?
Monster Hunter's doing gangbusters, dude. It's absolutely fantastic. They showed some new gameplay at Tokyo Game Show. There was a new trailer at the PlayStation thing, the State of Play. Which, by the way, I did forget about this. We need to add this in. We have a revealed a release date for Monster Hunter. Bring that up at some point.
Well, say it now. When's the release date for Monster Hunter?
It's the 28th of February, dude.
Oh, there you go. I mean, isn't that the same time that Assassin's Creed...
Wait. Yes,
dude, that's really bad. That's really bad.
Exactly. Like I was about to say, by the way, this number will come up later.
Well, that's just more of a shitstorm for Ubisoft. Well, anyway, sad.
It's so much fun.
I mean, any news to kick Ubisoft even further in the nuts is always a good thing for me, as far as I am concerned. But all right, first topic of the day. Rurikon, I don't know if you've heard, but have you ever heard of this game? It's a really small game. It's like an indie game. But so you probably have never heard of it before. But it's called GTA. I think it's GTA. Like great theatrical
great
something
thieving,
or
great thieving arts.
Yeah, something like that, right? But it's called GTA.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, and there's like this RP scene in this really tiny game that has made billions of dollars.
I've never heard about this.
But there's this massive RP scene, ladies and gentlemen. Jokes aside, right? In the GTA 5 RP community. And as it turns out, a very popular streamer called Moon and another streamer or thing. I don't know exactly who she is. I've genuinely never seen her before, but I've gone through her Twitter posts over the last few years, and she has always been at the forefront of calling out anyone that cheats on their husbands, anyone that cheats on their partners and spouses. She's one of those virtuous justice warriors, right? Just calling out everyone that acts even a little bit improper towards anyone else. Well, as it turns out, Rurikon, in a strange twist of fate, I guess you could say, this woman has been cheating on her own husband with Moon. First in DM, like the DMs are absolutely disgusting. If you read through them, they make you cringe.
Oh yeah, I read some of those DMs. I was like, oh god.
And what happened
People
was
actually speak like this.
Yeah, what happened was she went to TwitchCon to go fuck this Moon. Apparently, this is what I've heard thus far, right? To go have sex with him. Then her husband sends her messages while she's at TwitchCon for her to just check in and say she's safe and she's arrived and everything's fine. After she doesn't reply at all, so he gets no messages, she's probably busy sucking some dick, right? He goes on to Discord and he tries to contact her via her Discord. And this is where he starts to get into her private messages. And he starts to see all the men that she's been sending nudes to, that she's been sexting with. And then he gets on to...
Wait a minute.
Yeah?
I only knew about Moon.
No, sir.
All the men?
All the men. She has been sending nudes and videos of herself doing things to herself to guys everywhere, right? Moon is the longest running conversation that she's been having. And it's also the one that seemingly has led to physical, actual stuff. But the messages, the reason the DMs really hit me very, very hard is I realized I put myself in the position of a husband having to read the shit that his wife is writing to another man. You know,
that is absolutely, that's just one of those things that would crush you.
I think it would break. Yeah.
If I was to find like messages of my wife doing that, like I'd be like, what the. Like you just lose your compass basically. You just lose your your direction. You're like, whoa, what the hell?
I mean, from my perspective, here's the person that you love most in this entire world, right? This person knows everything about you. They know all of your shortcomings, all of your failures. Everything is tied up in this person. All of your life goes into making this person happy and taking care of this person. And now you're reading this person saying things like, I can't wait to be bred by you. And this guy saying, remove your birth control and I will put babies in you. And she's like, oh, same wavelength. I love the way you think about this. And it's just like, what the?
Yeah.
What?
I read some of those last night in preparation for this. And I was like, Jesus, dude.
It made me nauseous.
Reading that as a husband is like, I can't even imagine what the dude is feeling like.
Dude, I think that guy's broken.
So I do have a question because I saw a screenshot from who I believe was Moon in his Discord, where he says that apparently those two were in an open relationship.
Well, he claims they weren't. At least the husband claims they weren't.
Oh, so it was a one-sided open.
Yeah. It was one of those. He was never informed of just how open their marriage was.
You know the whole alpha male thing where they have like a harem. This was the reverse. It was the alpha female. No, it's like Obviously, I'm making a little bit fun of the situation, but it sucks for the dude.
No, it does.
To find out like that. That's messed up.
Now, I will say it is possible that she told Moon that they were in an open relationship as a way. Because maybe Moon wasn't quite comfortable flirting and, sort of doing stuff with
a married woman.
With a married woman. But even there, I don't think that excuses it. Like, personally, I don't care how fucking open your marriage wants to be. No, I would not go there because that's just a recipe for disaster. But, fundamentally, the thing that stood out to me was her hypocrisy. Just how absolutely hypocritical this woman is, right? And you can see from her own fans who are heartbroken because she used to be this absolute pinnacle of virtue, just doesn't allow any of this to happen. And then you also see her and you see Moon and you go, what the? Like, why? This Moon guy looks a bit like a troll under a bridge. No offense. I don't look like a great guy either. Hold up.
I kind of feel like you don't have to go there.
I can, because I look like I live under a fucking bridge as well. So it doesn't bother me when people say that about me, and I can say that about him as well. So it's just this thing of, like, what even is going on? Like, how? The reason I bring this up is because, do you have any idea how long this stuff must have been going on for a girl like that to start looking at a guy like Moon and be like, yep, let's go, right? Because that would not happen overnight. That would just not happen overnight.
There's different things that people are attracted to, but I don't know if that is the case here because, like, you just informed me and I wasn't aware. She's been messaging multiple men.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe she's got some kind of, like, what do they call it? The nympho. Maybe she's a bit of a nymphomaniac or something like that.
Then fuck your husband.
Like, obsessed. Yeah, no, but some maybe some of the mental portion of that is just like, oh no, I want to fuck as many people as possible. Because you see that a lot in today's dating culture, like when people start talking about body count, and sometimes you see some women that will say, oh, I want to have like 200 women, and the same goes for men. I want to have like 200 men, and men saying I want to have like 200 women before I get married or something like that, and it's like, why? Is this a video game? Are we looking for a high score?
Dude, I don't get it.
Let me tell you something. I was lucky enough. I have had sex my entire life with one woman.
Dude,
my wife. That's it. I'm not interested in having sex with anybody else.
No, but I think that's how it should
fine,
be. Personally,
perfectly happy.
Personally, I think that's how it should be. Obviously, that aligns with all of my worldviews.
Yeah, but different people will think different. I don't think differently of someone if, like, oh, they had sex with 10 people before they got married or whatever. But I do find it weird when people start going after these crazy high scores. It's like, oh no, I gotta hit number 100, number 1,000. It's like, why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Understand. But anyways, that's besides the point. The whole thing is that you were talking about the whole appearance thing. Certain people are attracted to different things of somebody else. And in particular, women oftentimes are more attracted to somebody's personality than necessarily their physical appearance.
Well, that is possible.
But regardless of that, it's like, I just don't like going there of like, no, this fucking guy looks like a cave troll. Nah, I don't do that shit.
The reason I feel no shame in doing it is because of his own actions. He's invited it upon himself. I just don't fuck with guys that fuck with married women. I don't like that.
So
for me,
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. Like cheating in general, I feel like is one of the lowest forms of thing that you can do.
Yep.
Particularly because it's like, look, if you're unhappy with a relationship, you just, you tell your partner, you're like, listen, I'm unhappy. We should probably go our separate ways, and I'm going to go have sex with somebody else, or something like that. I mean, probably you shouldn't add the part, I'm going to go have sex with somebody else.
Yeah.
But, like, at least be respectful and say it to somebody's face, because, like, I absolutely despise lies.
Yeah.
I cannot stand it. I cannot abide by it. No, I friggin' hate lies.
Yeah.
So the whole concept of cheating and all of that is something that just like, no, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Cut it off by the root. No.
I'm right there with you. I won't go into like massive worldview sharing here because, not really the audience for it. But I absolutely agree with you. I think from my personal perspective, marriage is forever. There is no self-destruct button that you can press. So you don't do anything to destroy your marriage, and you also don't allow your partner to do anything that will destroy the marriage. So from my perspective...
Wait, you don't allow them to do...
Yeah, I mean, if you see your partner...
You can't change somebody up.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with that, right? But if you see your partner starting to stray into positions where things will start to become hairy... You talk to them,
you
right?
end the relationship.
Well,
you talk to them or you end the relationship, depending on where you're at the time.
Yeah, well, that's different people have different viewpoints, right? My viewpoint is you can't get divorced. It's not how it should be done. So from my perspective, you talk to them and you tell them, listen, you're playing with fire. The stuff that you're doing is going to lead to temptation. It's going to lead to bad stuff. Why are you doing this? Obviously, different people will have different ways of dealing with it.
Yeah.
I just think it's an awkward situation, and it's not really a fun topic. I get that for a podcast that me and Rurikon generally just clown on people for, but this is something that is happening currently, and at no point do I want people to think, oh, we're just sitting here throwing stones because we're completely blameless and we have no sins or whatever. That's not at all what I'm saying. But this is a story that is breaking right now. And it seems like a lot of the RP crowd in GTA is actually being affected by this. Right? Because now suddenly...
Really?
Yeah. There's apparently like giant stuff happening on the RP servers where this shit used to take place. Because I saw someone who them and their boyfriend used to RP together, but their boyfriend was also friends with this girl. So now there's they're doubting their boyfriend because their boyfriend may have been one of the guys who received dirty videos or some shit like that. So it seems like this is just creating a cascading effect of relationship questions.
It's funny because I always wondered the whole situation about marrying people in a video game, because, like, for instance, you can do that in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, there are like items that you can get in Final Fantasy XIV. And it's funny because at one point, I got married to a friend of mine so that we could get the item. Because this friend of mine is like, hey, listen, I want to get these items in Final Fantasy XIV. And I was like, all right. And we need to get married. I was like, this is awkward. Are you proposing? No, but it was a funny thing. But obviously, we never took it seriously. There's no RP. There's nothing like that. It was me as my friend Gaijin Hunter.
Yeah,
because he wanted to get the items and whatnot. And it's funny because you get a ring that you can then teleport to the other person. And whatnot.
I know a bunch of people who do that. Like in the same raiding guilds, will all get the items so they can get to the raid quicker or whatever. I think that's fine, right? But I do think if you are already married, you should not be RPing with people of the opposite sex. Like, what the hell are you doing, right?
It's like, no, there's what you're talking specifically about is RPing a romantic relationship. Because there's multiple levels to RPing.
Obviously, if you guys are just RPing, slaying gnolls and shit along with a bunch of other people, sure. Whatever. But if you guys are RPing, in the back of the inn, in your own room, this becomes a problem that you should not be diving into. Because again, there's always the opportunity that feelings start to develop and you start to, and this can probably happen, right? Where the RP, the character that you're RPing with becomes the thing that you fall in love with. So you're not actually even in love with the person who plays the character. You fall in love with the character, but because you're now in love with the character and you associate the character with the person who's playing the character, this can just lead to a lot of shit, which people should not do, right? But we'll throw it over to you guys in the comment section down below. What do you think of the whole Moon drama thing that's going on? What are your opinions? We'd love to read about it, and then maybe discuss it next week. So yeah, we're gonna move on swiftly from this one because it's a shit show.
Yeah,
it's a shit show, and there's really nothing else to be said about it. All right, so on that note, with something that there is a lot to say about, we're going to be talking once again, ladies and gentlemen, about SBI Sweet Baby Inc. Now, for those of you who don't know who SBI is, this is the game consultancy firm. Being a consultant is a pretty useless job. Being a games consultant is the most useless job.
No, wait a minute. I used to be an IT consultant. What the hell is this about?
What did you do as an IT consultant? What was your job?
I was basically strategizing around companies that were just getting started or opening up like a new branch, and I would strategize their whole network infrastructure, which computers they would buy, which operating system software, and I would plan all of that out, and then I would deploy it.
So you would be the one that deploys the thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that is not the kind of consultancy I'm referring to. The kind of consultancy I'm referring to is a gaming consultant walking through the door at Ubisoft and telling them how to make
and
their game. And
tokenizing characters?
Well, not just tokenizing their character. My brother, right? My brother is an owner in a pretty large IT firm, right? Specifically coding and analysis. And they work with consultants all the time. You want to know what the job is of the consultants? They set up meetings. That's it. The consultants know nothing about anything, but they set up the meeting between the company and the clients.
That's what's considered the consultant?
Yeah.
Damn.
The company hires the consultants to help them with analysis. The consultants don't know shit about analysis, so they go to an actual analysis firm, right? And the analysis firm does the analysis, but the consultant sets up the meeting. They could literally just not have the consultant and set up the meeting between themselves.
Maybe I need to change my resume.
Dude, you'll make
maybe
a
I
shit
should
ton of
not
money.
put IT. Maybe I shouldn't put IT consultant because that's not what I did.
No.
I did so much more than that.
Yeah, well, if you were an actual IT consultant, as these guys are, you would literally just go to the company. They'd say, "We need a network," and you'd say, 2 seconds on your phone. IT guys phone them. "Hey guys, I have a client for you. Do you want to do some fucking actual work for these people?" Like, that's what clients are, right?
God,
so the way it goes is those who can't teach. Those who can't teach gym. And those who can't teach gym become consultants. That's basically how it operates, right? So fundamentally,
it's kind of like reducting for gym trainers and shit.
Well, bro, come on. Like, let's be real, right? You are a teacher, but you're so bad that the only thing you can do is fucking set up dodgeball games between the kids. Let's be real.
Oh, no. Okay. No. You're talking about physical education.
Yeah. Like the teachers.
Because when you say gym, I was thinking like, personal trainers and stuff like that. And I was like, wait a minute. These people need to know like anatomy, muscle development, nutrition. Like, there's a lot of things these guys know.
I mean, the first bit of that is a complete joke, right? It is a complete joke. I'm not suggesting that gym teachers are not actual teachers, because oftentimes there will also be the sports teachers and stuff. But never mind that, right? It is supposed to be a joke. So if anyone wants to get offended, leave that in the comment section. But anyway, so SBI comes on the scene after being involved with a number of games. And it very quickly turns out that this company basically gets hired by gaming studios to wokeify the games, to basically make changes to the game that almost always destroys the game, right? So they're the ones who say, no, you have too many white people in your game. You don't have enough queer people in the game. You don't have enough this. You don't have enough that. We need more female characters. That's their job. Their literal job is to point out all the ways in which your game isn't woke enough. And then you change all of those things and they fix the writing and the story for you. Now, here's the thing. I am not suggesting that there aren't great consultants. There are, right? There's definitely a place where consultants make a lot of sense, especially if you go to some consultants who actually happen to be experts in their fields, and that's why you get them to help you with whatever the fuck you're trying to do. These guys are not experts in their fields. The overwhelming majority of the people who work for these consultants, game consultants, doesn't even have a record or history of work in the gaming industry. These are young, fresh-faced fucks out of college that just become consultants because they're not good enough to work for Ubisoft. And I mean, you don't need to be that good to work for Ubisoft, right? And so that's where we are now. But okay, so that's where all of this starts. And this is where the anti-DEI crowd comes in. And now suddenly we have this entire Gamergate too. Then very recently, about, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, one of the key personnel at SBI has, let's call it a video course.
Is it Kim Belair?
It is a black dude, but it's not the lead head honcho at SBI, but it's one of the key figures, at least at SBI, and he has this video course that he's explaining all of the things that they do over at SBI. And one of the things he says on the slide is, our mission is to burn the gaming industry to the ground. That's the mission of SBI. They need to burn down all of the legacy things that used to make gaming good so that we can start anew and all games can now be woke from the ground up, right? So after watching his entire thing, here's basically what, if they could, here is what they would do. They would blow up the Steam servers. I'm not saying that's what they said they will do, but I'm saying this is basically what they wish they could do. They would blow up the Steam servers, blow up every single server in the history of the world ever that had any gaming code on them, blow up everyone's PCs, everyone's PlayStations, everyone's Microsoft Xboxes, everything, right? And
I'm very confused. Is this person like mentally deranged?
No.
Like,
this is
what?
I just want to explain. They aren't saying this. I'm explaining to the audience what they wish they could achieve. Right? So their argument right now as to why most of their woke games aren't working is because there's so many other games that are not woke. Right? But if you could have a games industry that from the ground up, the first game ever to come out is woke, then gamers would have no other choice but to play the woke games. That's why one of their goals is to burn the gaming industry to the ground. That way, every game that comes out, no matter what that game is, you have to accept the fact that there's going to be pronouns in that game. You have to accept the fact that the lead character is going to be queer and confused. And the villain of the game will not be sure if they're the villain or the hero, right? Everyone's just going to be fucking confused. Maybe there isn't even a villain because that would also be singling out certain people, right? So that's the point, right? That's what they're hoping to achieve.
I completely disagree with that point of view. This person seems like an absolute psychopath.
Yep.
I haven't done any research on this at all, but like this thing that you're describing seems like this person is an absolute psycho. It's just like, we gotta delete all the games and all the games gotta be the way that we want to make them. The way that I look at things is like, you want to make games that are more inclusive with LGBT characters and all of that stuff. You want to do that? You should do that. But like I've said this multiple times on our podcast, you should go ahead and you should absolutely.
If that's what you want to do, go for it.
And then if there's a market for it, let's go. Good job. Congratulations to everybody all around, and people can decide for themselves whether or not they want to play them. That's the way that I look at that, pretty much. But this whole idea of we should remove all other games is like, what is this?
Well,
this person's crazy.
So
you're insane.
Yeah, but just to be clear, right? That is not what they said. That is what I said in order to explain it.
What have they said? Do you have like the actual quotes?
I told you.
Let's hear it.
Their actual thing is just they want to burn the games industry to the ground. So what they're now doing, because it's not a perfect world, you can't destroy all of the games that already existed. The plan now is to make sure that, let's say from 2025, every game that comes out is woke. Every game. So there's no indie games that you can turn to that is just a city builder. No. Even Manor Lords is as woke as possible. So they want all of the games that come out from now on to be woke. Because obviously they can't get rid of all the games that already exist. And their argument is that if all of these games are now woke, gamers will just eventually get over it. And they'll just be forced to play the new woke games because that's all that exists, right? So this is what they mean when they say burn down the gaming industry.
The interesting thing is that even if you were to do that, right? Even if you were somehow to be able to do that, what would happen is people would just play old games. As a matter of fact, like I personally have been, you get a couple games during a Steam sale, you find some games on like discount and stuff. I've personally been preparing for a point, not for the reason that games were becoming woke. My personal reason for preparing for this was more so in lines of like, dude, all of these games nowadays are getting more and more pay to win. Yep. They're getting more and more anti-consumer. And I always thought there's going to be a day where there's just not going to be games, new games, that I'm going to be interested in playing. And when that day gets here, I have all these other games that I've been hoarding that I haven't played yet, and I can just start playing those until the end of days.
Yeah.
So I guarantee that I'm not the only person who thinks like this. No. There's no way that I am the only person in gaming.
Every single time there's a game
doing
sale.
This type of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So the thing is, if you are to eventually just make new games that are not interesting to people, guess what? Gamers are resilient as fuck,
Yep.
dude. We've been preparing for that day. We got plenty of games to play in our backlog, dude. Everybody complains about, oh my God, my backlog's so huge. And people think that if eventually no new games come out, that we're gonna be, we can't do our hobby anymore. We have to play the bad games now. It's like, no, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just straight up not gonna happen.
You want to know the funniest thing to me? And this just shows you how incredibly evil these fucking games journalists are. They keep maintaining that SBI, all these gamer chads thinking there's some giant conspiracy against them.
Not chads. Don't they say chuds?
Yeah, chuds or whatever the fuck, right? I can't keep up with all the lingo that the kids use these days, right? But all these gaming chuds that think there's some grand conspiracy against them to make all games woke. And then the Sweet Baby Inc. dude says, we want to burn the games industry to the ground. And we're like, oh, see what he did there? And the games media's just like, huh? Oh, look,
we can't see anything. Yeah, I have noticed that games media in a lot of topics, they're just like, oh yeah, we don't talk about this one thing.
Yeah.
We only report things from one very specific angle.
Yep.
I even had to call out a report. Is she a reporter? I think she's a reporter for The Verge.
Yeah.
I had to call her out last night. It's gonna come up later in the podcast. We'll talk about it when that comes up. But even last night, I called one of them out because, like, bro, it's just blatantly disrespectful what this person was doing. But it's like, the way that I look at these things is, I always like judging things on a case by case basis. So even some games who have consulted with Sweet Baby Inc., I like judging, okay, but did you implement those things? Like, for instance, I've played the entirety of God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And supposedly that is one of the games where Sweet Baby Inc. was consulted. And it's like, they did do something in God of War Ragnarok that I thought was kind of weird. And I already know that if I bring this up, some people are going to call me a racist and all of these terms and whatnot. But it was the character of Angrboda, who, I don't think that in the mythological stories of, the Norse gods and all of this stuff, because, in case you don't know, God of War Ragnarok, he goes against the Norse pantheon.
Yeah.
Right. So like Thor,
Odin,
Thor, Odin, and there's one, I forget his name. It starts with a B.
I can't remember.
It's been a long time since I played this game. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, you have this pantheon of gods, and then there's Angrboda, who's an actual character. She was supposed to be like a giant or whatever it is, and they've made her into a black teenager, basically.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, all right, this doesn't bother me, but I can see why it would bother some people, like especially if they're super into Norse mythology. They're like, oh, why is this character all of a sudden black?
I should just point out that the website that Cabrutus and his ilk are running. Cabrutus, yeah. And his ilk is running.
You know that he's Brazilian, right?
Yeah. Not every single game.
He's close to my people.
But not every single game that he runs on his website, they automatically condemn as woke. All they do is they point out games where Sweet Baby Inc. was involved. Now remember, Sweet Baby Inc.'s involvement in these games are still going to be limited to whatever the studio allows them to change.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is possible that
is why,
they wanted to make Kratos, a black female character, and the studio was like, the fuck are you talking about? Kratos is Kratos, just shut the fuck up, right? And so they said, well, what about this god then? And they were like, yeah, all right, fine, we'll make this one.
But this is the thing that I was saying, right? So I judge it based on the game, and from what I've played of God of War Ragnarok, I was like, this game's amazing. I love this game. I don't feel like that was overt messaging all over it or whatever.
Yeah.
Whether or not Angrboda's character, and I only say the Angrboda one because that's something that people started bringing up nonstop, left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know that much about those specific characters, didn't even bother me that much. So whatever. Actually, didn't even bother me at all. I didn't even care when I was playing the game. But yeah, the game itself was awesome. So that's the way that I judge every game where SBI was involved. I'm like, okay, let's take a look at it. Is it this bad? Is it not that bad?
Yeah.
Whatnot. Also, depending obviously on the marketing material, because for instance, I don't need to play Dustborn to know that I wouldn't be interested in that specific game.
Yeah.
And I don't need to play Concord to know that I would not be interested in Concord, because I looked at Concord, I was like, there's not a single character I want to play in here. So whatever, have at it. So I judge it everything on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
But yeah, when people start going off the wall and start making these mega statements about how they want to terrorize other people in their working environment and whatnot, and all of these other situations, I'm like, you guys are like getting to some ridiculously unhinged levels, and y'all need to stop.
Yeah. I will just say, so the games media has basically been treating, and this really is very much related to the SBI stuff, and we can probably now talk about the AC stuff as well, because this is probably going to be the main segment of today's show, because there's so much that happened with Assassin's Creed Shadows over the last, let's say, 48 hours, right? Yeah. Ubisoft is in trouble.
Not my Ubisoft.
Dude, when I saw this, I literally just had that Simpsons meme where that where that one character sits there on the bus and goes, I'm in trouble.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger. Like, that's literally it, right?
I'm in danger.
Yeah. But, okay, so the games media has basically been doing the exact same thing that they do with the SBI consultancy shit and the woke shit, is basically pretend like the people or the gamers that have had enough of this woke bullshit forced into every orifice of their video games is just a narrow slice of the gaming community. Because, by the way, the biggest thing that all of the games media is talking about, Paul Tassi fuckface included, is how the Ubisoft executives apologized, or sort of at least tried to allay the fears of the gamers who think that their games are woke and pushing political ideology. And all the games media obviously is very, very angry. For example, PC Gamer, the article that I read about this, they had the following little line in their article where they said, the backlash against Assassin's Creed Shadows has been fierce, but also emerges from a very narrow slice of the gaming community, a group that is very agenda-driven, and then continues to just call us racist and bigots and all the rest of it. And then I quoted them, right? I quoted this bit in a tweet reply to them, and I said, when the narrow group, in quotation marks, decides not to play a game. And I just attached 2 screenshots. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. This is where the narrow group said, fuck it, we'll not play. All-time peak of 541 players. Currently 50 people playing the game. And of course, Concord, which is now cancelled, by the way, no longer exists, because the narrow slice of the gaming community was like, fuck that, man. We don't want to play this.
Christ.
And Paul Tassi had the same thing.
Like, wait, so the thing that bothers me about this whole situation is that a lot of this is basically made to divide the gaming community.
Yes.
It's kind of like, in a way, it's the same strategy that, you know, the U.S. government applies to divide its population with, like we've talked about this before, left-right politics versus right-side politics, which we're not going to get into politics here. I just want to basically express that, at least in my opinion, left-side people probably have a lot more in common with right-side people than they do with the people that are above them, pitching them against one another. But somehow most people never really look up and see, wait a minute, why am I fighting this person that's next to me? Because they're just like, you know, they have these different ideological ideas and I have to fight them.
Yeah.
But what about the people that are upstairs actually doing policy that could actually improve both of our lives?
Yeah.
But instead of that, they choose to constantly pitch us against one another.
Yeah.
And it kind of seems like that same type of divide is happening in games media right now, in gaming right now. And games media appears to be very happy to continuously pitch these people against one another for gain. Because they make money off of the rage clicks on their websites and all of that stuff. Yeah. Which, you know, it's kind of sad because, like, whenever I see these type of confrontations, I'm like, okay, why does this person over here think about it in this way, and why does this person over here think about it in this way?
Yeah.
And can these two people not coexist, maybe in different games, or maybe even in the same game?
Yeah.
Like, can we not coexist as a gaming community and all just come together and enjoy games? Because if I'm playing a video game, okay, here's the way that I look at this. If I'm playing a video game, I don't care if the person that I'm playing with is a straight white male, a black woman, an Asian trans woman. It doesn't mind. What matters to me is, like, are we having fun? Are we having like good banter?
Yeah.
And are we enjoying the video game? That's the part that matters.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of gaming, is that you can kind of just like cross all of these barriers and just have fun with somebody else in a video game.
True.
So it's like, I don't begrudge anyone in the gaming industry unless they are intentionally, bringing divide upon people. And that divide oftentimes comes in different ways. Sometimes it comes through this, woke ideology, like you've said, and people are like, everybody that doesn't agree with what we put in this game is a racist, a bigot, a terrible individual. And it's like, well, what if somebody just doesn't like the game? Like, a lot of people just don't like Dustborn.
Yeah.
And maybe the people that don't like Dustborn, maybe they're not all racists and bigots and misogynists and all of these evil things. Maybe the people that didn't like Concord, they're not transphobic and homophobic and all of these other things. Like, I don't think that I'm those things. The reason I didn't play Concord is because I looked at the characters like, there's not a single character I want to play.
That's because you're a racist, Rurikon. That's why. That's the only reason.
Apparently it's because I'm a transphobe, because there's pronouns there, but it's like, the pronouns don't bother me. I don't care. I understand that for a lot of people, the pronouns do bother them. And it's like, hey, bothers you shouldn't play the game. I think that's fair. If that's
the only thing, and I've said this before, the only reason pronouns nowadays bother me in games is because
you expect more.
It tells me this game is going to consistently have this political bullshit that I don't give a fuck about. You know what? Rather do what, and I know we're sort of skipping, we're not going to skip the AC stuff, I promise, but rather do what Ghost of Yotei is doing. This is a female character.
Ghost of Yotei.
There's no like, oh wait, I want to be male or female. Go fuck yourself. This is the main character, play this. Or Witcher, Geralt from Witcher 3. This is the character, play this character or don't play this character, go fuck yourself. Right? No one cares. I don't care about that at all. I could not care less. But this nonsense is, it's going to penetrate the rest of the game, because the fact that someone even stood in character creation and there was one fuck going, hey guys, where's the pronouns? That would be the last thing I'm thinking about. I would immediately think, right, do we have booby physics in this character creation, or is they're just going to be static? How big can you make the badonkadonks, right? Like, that's what I'll be thinking about. I would not think about the pronouns. I wouldn't even give a shit about that, because from my perspective, some things can just be left up to the imagination. That's the whole point of video games, right? You can imagine your character having any pronouns you fucking want. You don't need to have that in the game. But never mind that. To get back to the AC delay stuff, because I feel like maybe there's some people watching now that don't even know what we're talking about. So just update the audience a little on what we're talking about here.
Just give me a second here, because something popped into my mind. It's not the first time that this popped into my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that is a little bit confusing to me.
Yeah.
So with the pronoun stuff, right? Imagine this. When is somebody going to be referring to your character in the third person, right? It usually is not going to be one of your companions unless they're speaking behind your back.
Yeah.
Right? So when your companions are speaking behind your back, they would use your preferred pronouns, because that makes sense, because they're your companions, they're your friends, all of that stuff. But what happens when it's a villain speaking about our character? Because that does happen. Like in certain games, you'll have like the villain, this hero that is coming, and they would be saying something bad about our hero, right?
Yeah.
What happens, is the villain forced to respect your pronouns as well?
I guess.
Or is it okay for the villain to disrespect your character and use inappropriate pronouns for immersion.
I mean, for the woke crowd, if that villain does not use the correct pronouns, they will be up in fucking arms, all 10 of them. So.
No, but it's but the thing that I'm saying, like, it is actually something that you know, when you think about this stuff all the way from a logical perspective, because you would think that the villain would purposely be derisive. And I am curious, like, if we have people in our audience that happen to be trans, I would like to know if this is something that would bother you in a video game. Like, I'm genuinely asking, because I don't know if this would be a huge problem or not.
Dude.
It's probably going to vary depending on the person, I would imagine. But it does make me curious if someone would get offended if a villain in a video game was to use the inappropriate pronouns derisively and on purpose because they're the villain.
I will say, the one mistake you're going to make here is I have plenty of trans people and gay people in my community. I know that for a fact because I've spoken to many of them, right? None of them give a shit about any of this. Any of this. They don't care. Because that's because real people don't make a habit of trying to make other people uncomfortable or trying to force themselves into every conversation. The overwhelming majority of gay and trans people I have in my community just want to exist. That's it. They don't give a fuck. They don't care what people refer to them as. In fact, I know of one trans girl specifically who has been referred to as male almost her entire life. And she doesn't give a fuck, right? She's like, she doesn't even correct people when that happens because that's their prerogative, right? That's how they see her, and that's fine. I don't give a fuck, right? As far as I'm concerned, as long as she's okay with it, that's all good. So most real people really don't care about this. The only people that care about this are the people that make an actual job of it on Twitter to complain.
I've had trans people in my community, and usually what I always try to do is I try to always use their preferred pronouns. You know, if I can remember that is the case, I'll always use that. Usually it's pretty obvious because they will have, like, if it's a trans woman, it'll have like a more female name online and stuff like that. So it's pretty easy to just like treat them like that. And I had one person specific once ask me, how do I feel about LGBT people in my community? Is it okay? Is it not okay? And I was like, I feel, you know, I judge everybody on an individual basis. So it's like, if you're here to game and have a good time and all that stuff, we're gonna get along just fine. If we're here to even argue, because I you know, you and me, we both provide an environment for people where we welcome criticism and opposing views and all that stuff. Right up until people start getting to that point where they just get super giga annoying nonstop. And at that point, it's like, well, now you get a timeout or a ban or whatever. But, you know, we welcome that type of stuff in. So it's like we judge everybody on an individual basis on their own personality. And that's pretty much the way that
I mean,
goes.
I judge it based on how I see it. I don't spend enough time to really scrutinize what I see or don't see. So if someone comes into my chat and the username is Sally, I'm going to go, sup, girl? What's going on? Right? How's your life
Something
going?
like that, yeah.
I don't think I'd ever use the word girl, but never mind that. Right? I would refer to this person as if they were female because what fucking guy is going to call himself Sally? Unless he's been beat up a lot as a child. But you know, that's sort of my starting point. Now, obviously, you know, I have my own opinions, and if me and a person formed an actual relationship to where we're talking honestly and we're talking about, you know, the actual sin effect of it, because for those of you that don't know, I am Christian, right? So I have my opinions, but I believe that those opinions are only shared once I have a relationship with someone. And if they were to actively ask me, do you think this is a sin? Yes, it is a sin, right? Just as I am full of sin of all my own fucking making. But I won't go around telling people, yeah, you're a sinner, you're gonna go. What the fuck is that gonna achieve?
You're gonna go to hell.
That doesn't achieve anyone from where I
not.
sit. You just chase people away because they don't know you. It's not coming from a place of love. And therefore, you're not gaining anyone for the kingdom of God, at least in my opinion, right? You shouldn't lie, so therefore I will not lie, and I will be honest, but I will not condemn people unless I know them, right? Or I have a relationship with them to where we can actually talk openly and we can explain, and I can explain how things are supposed to go. But that's neither here nor there. That's much larger conversation than what I think this podcast will ever need to be about. But yeah, fundamentally, I'm happy to just call it as I see it, right? Like, if that's just how it is.
Are we jumping into Ghost of Yotei or Assassin's Creed?
No. We have to talk about the Assassin's Creed stuff, because I think the Assassin's Creed stuff is important. And, we've been very much sort of all over the place, but that's because the Assassin's Creed stuff is all over the place. Now, I'm going to give you guys a very quick rundown of what has happened in the last 48 hours, maybe a little bit longer, let's say 72 hours. So basically, about 3 days ago, we start getting news that Ubisoft has canceled their appearance at the Tokyo Game Show, which is pretty big at the time, because obviously Assassin's Creed Shadows is a game that's taking place in Japan.
In Japan?
Yeah. Then Ubisoft, for some reason, decides to make a little figurine, and the figurine is standing in front of a wooden replica of a monument that signals the nuclear bombs.
It's a Torii gate.
Yeah.
They basically put a Torii gate in there, except the Torii gate is torn in half.
Yes.
And apparently there's only one Torii gate in Japan that's torn in half, and it just happens to be a monument to the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yes.
So they're just like, oh yeah, let's just go ahead and put Yasuke next to something that reminds the Japanese people of the fucking atom bomb.
Of a pretty bad day.
Because that's a good idea.
Yeah, why not? Right?
Oh my God.
So
dude,
clearly,
the hubris and disrespect.
But dude,
actually, wait, what if this was on purpose?
I don't think it was. Here's what I think happened.
Here's what I'm saying. Just hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
What if this is a disgruntled Ubisoft employee that's sick of their bullshit, and he's like, "Oh, you guys don't give a fuck about Japanese culture, do you? Okay, let me tell you what we're gonna do for this figurine of yours. I'm gonna get this one Torii gate, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna depict it perfectly, and we're gonna put it next to our figurine. Let me tell you, bro, Japanese people gonna love this one."
Yeah.
And they just like sabotage Ubisoft. Because here's the thing, based on a recent video that I've been watching from Legendary Drops, who's an awesome dude. He made some really awesome coverage on the Ubisoft stuff. Apparently there are a lot of employees at Ubisoft that are not happy about what's happening. They contacted him directly. So his latest video actually includes testimony from actual developers that have worked or are working at Ubisoft, where they're basically, they're not happy about the situation. Because like I've always said, Ubisoft has at the very least talented artists.
Yeah.
Like their artists are very talented, and there's a lot of talented people at Ubisoft. I just feel like obviously their higher ups are absolute assholes that have no idea what the fuck they're doing with that team.
Yeah.
And some of the animators definitely need a stern talking to improve their goddamn animations. But a part of that, there are definitely talented people. And, there's just nothing that they can do, because if they speak up, they're going to get fired. Like, this is to the point, by the way, where using the wrong emotes or even exclamation marks can be seen as a human resource problem.
What? What?
In a company chat, using the wrong emotes can get you fired.
Wow. They're really running a fucking tight ship over there.
This is, by the way, again, on the latest Legendary Drops video. You guys should definitely check that out. We'll have a link on the description. But using the wrong emotes in their chats is going to get people fired. So everything, whenever they have a conversation, needs to be super bland, super plain, no emotion allowed to be expressed at all. And this is one of the reasons why basically Ubisoft's games haven't had any flavor for the last 5 years or so.
I mean, so all of that. Now, I personally think this is just more evidence. I mean, guys, when Ubisoft, so right now, all of the journalists are pretending like the only people that didn't like the Assassin's Creed Shadows announcement are racist white men, right? Even though the biggest backlash came from the Japanese people themselves, because the game is just rife with things that cannot be possible. You have certain symbols that come from, that is in a specific era, from emperors that fucking existed long after Yasuke was even a thing, right? So those symbols would not yet show up in that timeline. Then you have fruits being picked or rice being picked at the same time. The trees are blooming. And it's like, dude, how is that even possible? These are different seasons where this shit takes place. So clearly, Ubisoft took they made no attempt to even try to make the game or to do their research and make sure that the game is at least historically in a setting that makes sense and you are paying respects to the setting. They just sort of went, oh, well, Japan makes sense. And I think that's where this figurine comes in as well. The guy who designed it literally Googled famous Japanese monuments. That was the first one that popped up, and he was like, oh, this is a really interesting thing. Let's just make it wood and say that's where it comes from, right?
Let's just make a busted Torii Gate, which just happens to symbolize the,
because they don't know shit about
tragic
shit,
events
right?
of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah.
So then Ubisoft cancels their Tokyo Game Show, and everyone, myself included, made a video on this, and I said at the time, I guarantee you Assassin's Creed Shadows is being delayed. Guaranteed.
Bro, imagine a Japanese studio making a video game about, modern day America, and then their promotional material would have the Twin Towers in there.
Yeah, Spider-Man just sort of hanging off the fucking Twin Towers burning. And it's like, well...
It's kind of the same for people that don't understand. That's kind of a similar thing to what Ubisoft just did with that tour.
Yeah, or you
it's
just
just put the Twin Towers in there.
You just have Iron Man hanging out in front of Auschwitz with the fucking Jews in the background. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why are you choosing that moment to sell shit to people?
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It is absolutely disgusting, but this is where we are, right? And then Ubisoft.
I mean, but we also talked about, for people that might have missed that podcast where we talked about where they had an exposition in some, I forget where exactly this exposition took place, but that was this exposition that Ubisoft took part in where they were promoting the game, and basically they just bought a sword from One Piece, from the Zoro character in One Piece, and they just literally put that sword because it was red and it looked cool. Yeah, like, oh yeah, this is the one, we're gonna buy this one and just put it in there. Never mind that this is from a completely different franchise. Yeah. We're just going to buy the cheapest possible katana we can find, put that bitch in there, boom, done.
Yeah.
It's like, people have been cutting corners nonstop. Again, it might have been the same guy sabotaging the marketing. There's this one guy on marketing who's like, I'm going to fuck you guys up so bad, you have no idea.
But people are complaining about a lot of things, right? Right. For example, the katana being on the back. Yeah. This is not a cultural thing. No samurai or samurai adjacent would have had the katana on the back.
In the back?
Yeah, the girl has the katana in the back like fucking Chinese ninjas would have it. And it's like, I saw a lot of Japanese people going, that would have been probably grounds for having to commit, what's that fucking thing?
Seppuku?
Yeah, where they pierce themselves and kill themselves. You weren't allowed to do that. That would have been considered massively disrespectful to your sword, because the sword was considered sacred to the samurai.
Yeah.
Right? So fundamentally, Ubisoft just took a lot of turns with this shit. But then, yesterday, really, day before yesterday, the big news starts to drop. We start to see a lot of internal leaks. Finally, an internal memo is released by Ubisoft. Ubisoft also has an emergency investors meeting where they admit a number of things. They admit that the sales for Star Wars Outlaws, remember when we were all gaslit into believing that the sales were actually brilliant? Yeah, they were not. They were in fact so bad that they are now all hands on deck trying to fix all of the problems of the game, because the game is coming to Steam quite a few months before it was supposed to come to Steam. It will be 22nd of November.
Here's the words from Yves Guillemot himself in the internal memo. First, Star Wars Outlaws' initial sales proved softer than expected.
Yep.
Pretty much like my dick whenever I look at that game.
Yeah.
Crap, I shouldn't have said it like that, because now people are going to say, oh, you wanted to sexualize the characters. Like, no, I wanted to be excited about the game, which I wasn't, because the game sucks.
You know what? I will
why.
be the one to say it. I want the character to be sexualized. Absolutely.
Okay, fine.
Absolutely.
You can.
I want a character. I want to be able to look at a character and be happy to be looking at that character. That's why I like playing The Witcher 3. Geralt looks like a fucking badass in that game. Yennefer and Triss, hot as fuck, want to have relationships. Why wouldn't you? Right? The point of a game is to be fantasy. And I don't want to fantasize about a girl that looks like a 12-year-old fucking boy and also dirty face. And I don't want that, right? So yes, I do want the character to be sexy and to look sexy because it's a
12-year-old boy. She doesn't look like a 12-year-old.
She does. Well, either that or she looks like a 50-year-old guy, depending on the line.
No. I don't agree with this at all.
But fundamentally, I don't give a shit what anyone wants to say about representation or whatever. Make characters look unreal. That's the point. It's a game. That's why we play these games. To play as things that we can't be in real life. I will never be as fucking good looking as Geralt. I can't even swing a sword to save my life. If there were actual monsters in this world, I'd be one of the fucking victims. Right? That's just how it is. So I want to play as something that isn't me. I don't want to play as a fat witcher that can barely run and is just beyond slow because he has never seen a gym in his fucking life, right?
Fat witcher.
The armor doesn't even fit, that his belly fat is just hanging out.
I think it's interesting because I do want to play as a fat character, fat dwarf. I want to be a fat dwarf.
Yeah, but dwarves are allowed to be fat because they're short and stonky, right? But for any other character...
Stocky.
No, stonky. Stocky is dwarves are already even not fat dwarves are stocky.
When you say,
but if it's a fat dwarf, it's a stonky dwarf.
I imagine a dwarf that's like playing the stock market. He's like, oh yes, stocks.
Well, if he's a fat dwarf, that's probably a lot more successful than combat. But fundamentally, so Star Wars Outlaws failed. And no, it wasn't just because Vase looks like a cretin.
No.
It was actually because the game is just shit. So they're all hands on deck.
And see, again, the Star Wars thing is once again reinforced by the reporting that we just got from Legendary Drops, wherein because of their teams being ultra conservative about things, and I don't mean conservative from a political standpoint, I mean like conservative about taking chances.
Yeah.
They want to make things as bland and tame as possible because they're scared of triggering any of the sides of the aisle or whatever, and they just need to make like super safe bets about their games. That means that the teams can't actually take chances on things and actually, make certain gameplay decisions or stuff like that, because their games need to be ultra consumable. And so this is one of the reasons why they weren't able to depict, for instance, something like a really true criminal element in Star Wars Outlaws that would actually be cruel, because they're also working with Disney, and Disney's not going to allow them to do that.
Yeah.
So there's all of these things that basically are working
I'll give you guys
this game.
I'll give you guys what the founder Eves had to say about this, right? We are an entertainment company. As such, our objective is not to endorse any specific agenda. Our mission has always been to entertain players and enrich their lives with original and memorable experiences that resonate with a global audience, right? And then he literally just goes on to explain why their games are as shit as they are. And what Rurikon said now is at the front and center of that. And I will not use my own words to say this. Instead, I will use the words of a guy that I consider to be a hell of a lot more talented than myself, Miyazaki. Miyazaki from Elden Ring said this: a game made for everyone is a game made for no one. You pick your poison. Words
to live by.
Yeah, you pick your poison and you run with that poison. If you want to make a game that pisses off all the right-wing people, make that game. Make it hard, make it loud, go as strong as you can. Let's go. Dustborn. Not many people will play it, but some people will. And that's really all that matters. If you want to make a game that is just fun, testosterone-filled, boys are going to fucking love it, and even some girls, you're going to end up with Space Marine 2. And again, really good fucking game. but don't try to run this middle of the road bullshit. Because what ends up happening is you don't go nearly far enough for the progressive crowd to celebrate your game, and you go far enough that all of the other gamers don't want to play your game, because who the fuck is this game actually for? You know, why would I want to play this? So fundamentally, they're just signing their own death warrants. And then, of course, on top of all of this that's now come out, Ubisoft also announces that Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed until, and we said this date will come up again. Rurikon, I'll give you the honors. When is it? Just say quickly again, when is Monster Hunter coming out?
So Monster Hunter is going to be releasing on the 28th of February.
Yes, and Shadows
is coming out on Valentine's Day, which is the 14th of February.
Oh, so they're releasing in the same month as Monster Hunter.
Yeah, no, very close to the same window. And it's interesting because when I pointed this out, I don't know how many views that post has had, but there was a lot of people that were like, oh yeah. Because basically Ubisoft had that big PNG that they've made where they were talking about like, things didn't go our way. We need a little bit longer to polish the game, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And basically I just made a post that says, I quoted them and I said, good luck competing with the Monster Hunter release window. That post now has 6,000 likes, 83 bookmarks, 526 retweets. Like,
yeah. The fact of the matter is,
a lot of people agree with me.
They're going to be buried by this, because a lot of Monster Hunter fans, and this I only know because I know a few people who play Monster Hunter, a lot of Monster Hunter fans will start to replay Monster Hunter games shortly before new Monster Hunter games come out. So they're not
been doing that.
Yeah, they're not going to play your fucking game 2 weeks before their game launches.
Listen,
this is the worst time to launch it.
The hardcore Monster Hunter players I've been seeing people talk about on Twitter, they're like, oh, I got to get my gold crowns, which this isn't even something that I do, but getting gold crowns is basically like hunting monsters until you find the biggest version of that monster.
Oh, yeah?
So they will straight up sit there and hunt like 100 monsters back to back just to see if they get a gold crown in terms of like the size of the monster.
Yeah.
And so they want to collect all of their gold crowns. So they're hunting every single monster in the game hundreds of times until they get their gold crowns.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of people are going to be doing in both World and Rise before they engage.
You're competing.
But the thing is,
bad decisions.
But the thing is also, there were a lot of people saying these are different markets. And it's like, yes, they are different markets, but you have to keep in mind, is the economy in a good place right now?
No.
For most people? Hell no. So are you really going to have, $70 lying around to buy both of these games? So actually $140 in a single month. And by the way, these aren't the only games coming out.
No.
I don't know if you've heard of there's this series. It's very niche. Not that many people know about it. It's called Yakuza.
Oh, yes.
They also have a game coming out on the 28th of February.
Oh, shit.
And there's this, so there's Monster Hunter and Yakuza, okay? And now, wait, Akalon, there's more.
Okay.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 also releases in February.
Wow, so they are just stacking themselves against companies that are clearly games that are already a lot more like hyped than Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Exactly, because Assassin's Creed has been losing relevance over the last couple of years brutally.
Yeah.
People no longer respect the Assassin's Creed brand as much.
Well, people don't respect Ubisoft.
When they did, they don't respect Ubisoft as well, but they did the whole Valhalla thing where they stuffed that game full of like side quests that were not that interesting.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, bro, some of the main quests were all right, but goddamn, you definitely stuffed this bitch to the brim with a bunch of menial tasks.
Oh, you mean,
and,
you mean there's Ubisoft games with overcomplicated, completely useless open worlds?
No, they're not. they're not overcomplicated at all. They're actually quite simple. It's just, they're time consuming.
Yeah, but that's what I mean with overcomplicate. Overcomplicate doesn't have to mean that it's complicated. It just means that you've gone so fucking far that you've lost the plot. Right?
Yeah, it's padding.
There's this saying,
they put a bunch of padding on there.
Yeah.
So people are like, I don't want to play the padded video game.
Yeah.
Do you want to play the padded video game or these other video games that have actually
Dude,
over
but
the
that's
years
been-
established them as really strong bands?
That's really
brands
been
like Yakuza, Monster Hunter,
Yeah.
and Kingdom Come.
I will say though, that open world thing with the meaningless quests, that's really a thing that started in Assassin's Creed Odyssey and has just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Because I remember in Odyssey,
Odyssey is the game that radicalized me against Ubisoft pretty much.
Yeah, and it's just gotten worse over time because it used to be every quest mattered. It was a story. It was telling a story, and the side quests would be more things like collect all of these things that you see in the open world or in the city that you're going through and that you're playing through. This was the original Assassin's Creed, obviously. But all right, so AC is delayed, and they did come out with a couple of good things. So first and foremost, they're taking all of the criticisms to heart. They're going to be working super hard to try and get all of the bugs done. They want to make sure that the game works on almost all PCs equally. Good luck with fucking that.
So let me just tell you something about that whole. We're gonna take these months and gonna fix all these bugs. Okay, what he said for starters is very interesting. Because here's the actual words from Yves Guillemot. This unusual decision at such an advanced stage is motivated by our desire to offer an optimal experience from launch on all platforms and various PC configurations, and to remove the small frictions we typically use to address in post-launch title updates.
Yeah.
What exactly does this tell us? This tells us that when they have a video game that they're like, this isn't quite ready, but it has a little bit of small friction. Now, what would they consider things like small friction? I don't know. Maybe when you backstab a character, it doesn't fucking animate.
Yep.
That's a small friction, right? Maybe, there's this quest that doesn't work. That's small friction. Maybe in certain systems, this game runs at 20 FPS. Small friction.
Yeah.
These are things that they would consider and we're like, oh, we'll just fix that in post.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. We'll just fix that later.
Dude,
we'll just release it now and we'll fix it later. And they poison the well. There's a lot of companies that have done this. They poison the well because they think they're going to be the next fucking No Man's Sky. And No Man's Sky has been paying for their sins for 10 fucking years.
Yeah.
Okay? It took them a long time to get the trust of the gaming community back again.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, you don't just get to be the next No Man's Sky, and you shouldn't fucking plan for it because that's moronic.
Yeah.
But then, here's the best part about all this, right? So what do you think happens when you say, oh, we're doing this because we want to offer an optimal experience, which is going to optimize the game more. We're going to fix all the little bugs. We're going to make sure the game works flawlessly. What do you need for this? Time.
Yeah.
Of course, it takes months to polish these things up. But then he goes and says, we will also use the extra time to complement the experience with a few high-impact secondary quests that will bring even more memorable moments. It's like, so wait a minute. Are you making new content? Or are you polishing the existing content? Because you can't fucking do both.
I think personally, so there's a couple of things that we have to put into perspective here. They've also announced, by the way, that they're reworking their entire season pass philosophy. Now, for those of you that don't know, Ubisoft has had one of the worst season pass experiences ever, where different versions of the game will literally mean, if you bought the standard edition, you could literally miss out on entire quest lines that will just not be in the game for you because go fuck yourself, right? You didn't buy the more expensive version of the game. So Ubisoft's season passes tend to be, you need a master's degree in physics to figure out what the fuck it means.
And by the way, these are the things that bothered me the most when it came to Assassin's Creed Shadows. The whole Yasuke thing, I didn't even get involved in that other than pointing out that I thought that there was like an animation in the first trailer that they showed where Yasuke stabs someone with a katana, then lifts them up in the air, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Is this Assassin's Creed or Devil May Cry? Which, look, I love Devil May Cry, but I didn't think that that's what Ubisoft was doing.
No.
Lifting somebody up with a katana? I don't know.
The only reason Yasuke bothered me was I didn't have a fucking problem until Ubisoft came out and tried to gaslight the players into saying he was an absolute samurai. That's when I was like, bro, you could literally just have gone, yeah, fuck it, boys. We just wanted to make a black samurai, and I wouldn't have given a shit.
Yeah.
But now you're gaslighting players. And then, of course, they did apologize for the gaslighting and lighting of the players afterwards. But, we'll just go with the flow on this one. But, okay, so they're reworking all of that. The extra quests that they're
Season
talking
pass
about,
stuff. Yeah.
those side quest stuff? I think that all was supposed to be inside the season pass. And they realized, okay, wait, no, we can't do that.
No, because they're
rework
saying they're going to complement it with a few high-impact secondary quests, which means I think that these are stuff that were not in the past. The stuff in the past is just getting included, and they're adding new things.
No, I think
that's what I get from this.
I think those things, because remember, they weren't too clear on exactly what you get with the season pass. So we know the season pass.
They never are. That's the whole point of the season pass.
But that's exactly it. They now say we're going to add a few high-impact secondary quests. Those were supposed to be in the season pass. And because the season pass is going away, basically, they're now in the base game, and they'll make sure they're polished and all the rest of it. And then the other bit of news, and this is actually, here I will give them praise. Ubisoft is hopefully going to be the grandfather of a good practice for the first time in a decade of the gaming industry. If you pre-order Assassin's Creed Shadows, you will automatically get the first expansion included in that price. From my perspective, that is how all pre-orders should work. They are doing away with the early access nonsense, because if you purchase the game, pre-purchase it, everyone will start playing at exactly the same time, getting all of the content at exactly the same time, and then also everyone will get the first expansion included in their base price. Let's do that from now on, boys. Just start doing that.
It's like the thing that bothers me is that the only reason they are doing this is because people hurt their wallet with Star Wars Outlaws, which in a way gives me a little bit of more faith in humanity. The fact that people are like, actually, let's not buy the Star Wars game. I was very surprised. Like I told you, when we spoke before the Star Wars Outlaws came out, I was expecting them like, bro, this is 1 week, 10 million easy.
Yeah.
Because people usually have no control. They just go out and they just buy the fucking game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
So it shows me that a decent chunk of the gaming community is finally, speaking with their wallets, which is amazing to see.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. You'll love to see it. So you hurt Ubisoft where it really hurts. And by the way, I'm not sure if you've seen their stock price. It's glorious.
Yo, bro.
Like I actually went through I put it into like 5 years.
Yeah.
It was glorious to look at, dude. It's like a ski slope. It's like whoosh. It's like get down to the very bottom. Except sometimes ski slopes at the end they have the ramp up to jump off, and this is just a ski slope that keeps going down. And by the time you get to the end, you just like face plant into the ground.
Yep.
That's kind of like where their stock price is gone. And I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And this is why they're doing that.
Yeah.
Because here's where I'm at with Ubisoft. I genuinely believe that the moment their stock price shifts again, they're going to go like, all right, early access is back on the menu, boys.
Yeah.
Let's go. I don't know. I don't know if that is going to be the case or not, but I'll tell you what. I will be, if Assassin's Creed Shadows does numbers, I will be a little bit more relieved because at least, they've done a lot of pro-consumer things.
Yes.
And also an interesting thing. Remember how we talked about the fact that Star Wars Outlaws was not on Steam?
Yes.
That I discovered here during the podcast. We're just like, wait, this is not on Steam. We're going like the Steam charts. It's like, what do you mean it's not on Steam? What the fuck how'd you expect this game to sell? It's not on Steam. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, and the Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be on Steam day one.
Yes.
Which is, would you look at that?
For those of you who might be confused as to why it's not on Steam, there's been a growing push within the gaming industry. A lot of the gaming companies are basically asserting that Steam is really bad for the games industry. And the reason they do this is because Steam has historically been incredibly pro-consumer. It's very easy to refund games on Steam, like legitimately one of the easiest refund processes ever. And they always give you the refund. Steam will even offer refunds outside of their refund windows if the game is proven to be too shit and too broken. So Steam is incredibly pro-consumer. And of course, all of these companies would love to have your data on their data centers so that they can sell that for an extra quick buck. So they've all been trying to get rid of Steam, and that was Ubisoft's game year. If we can push gamers onto our platform with our game, and obviously Star Wars would be the biggest game to choose, because if one audience is going to be rabid enough to actually install Ubisoft's proprietary software, it would be the Star Wars fans, no doubt. This should tell you, Ubisoft, if any of you are watching this, how much gamers fucking despise your proprietary software. Even Star Wars, the game, could not convince the Star Wars... Dude, there were 11 million Star Wars fans that watched The Acolyte first episode. And not even they were willing to download your fucking software to play your game. So stop with this bullshit. Just release on Steam.
You said the key words. They watched the first episode.
Yeah. Well, they gave it a go.
That's all they needed. They watched maybe they didn't even watch the first episode. They watched a couple of minutes of the first episode.
I mean, they tried it. And they saw, no, this isn't going to work for you. This is where we are now. Ubisoft seems to have finally run the gauntlet. They've tried to be the most hated company in the gaming industry. That title still belongs firmly to EA, though, because Ubisoft has turned around.
Does it? I don't.
Well, Ubisoft has done a 180, right? They've gone no.
I hate them both in a lot of ways. I think I hate Ubisoft more.
I think it's a toss up though, because EA comes very close. But on to something that is causing a lot of drama that I don't think should be causing a lot of drama. And this, by the way, comes from
before we go there. Before we go there, let me announce this segment in a different way.
Okay.
So, during the most recent PlayStation State of Play, they announced a bunch of games. They announced the release date of Monster Hunter Wilds, which we're all super excited about. Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be amazing. Echelon's going to be there day one, playing the fuck out of it. Am I right, Echelon? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. 28th of February, you're there. Day one.
28th of February? Oh, shit. I don't know. World's
28th of February, bro. Yeah. No, you're going to play some Monster Hunter Wilds.
I'll give it a go.
It's going to happen.
Fine, I'll give it a go.
But, hey, committed. Committed.
I'll give it a go. I'll try it.
They announced a bunch of stuff, and then they had that moment that we always have at the end of the presentation where they go, by the way, one more thing.
Yeah.
And then they announce Ghost of Yotei.
Mm-hmm.
And this is basically Sucker Punch, which, if you don't know, Sucker Punch are the people behind Ghost of Tsushima, Infamous, and now Ghost of Yotei. They basically just came out and they told Ubisoft, listen, boys, sit down. We got this.
Yeah, we got
you guys clearly have no fucking idea what you're doing in Japanese culture, but we who were they were made like honorary ambassadors of the island of Tsushima when they did Ghost of Tsushima. So it's like, it's fair to say the Japanese people over there fucking love them. So it's like, they were like, all right, this time it's going to be in a different place. Boom, boom. Ghost of Yotei is announced. And I was like, listen, boys, I'm there. Day one, no questions asked, because I played Ghost of Tsushima. Hell, I played it twice and I loved it both times. Because like, I played it and then listen, Ghost of Tsushima is amazing. Unfortunately, they did that whole bullshit when they released it on PC, which is the same thing that they did for Helldivers 2. It's like, you need a Sony account to play this single. It's like, what the fuck, bro? Sony's just like shooting themselves in both feet.
Yeah.
and then punching themselves in the balls with the way that they're releasing these games. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But anyway, they block the game also on like over 180 countries or whatever the fuck, which is so dumb. But whatever. Ghost of Tsushima is still an amazing game, and if you can play it, I highly recommend it. But basically, they announced Ghost of Yotei, and I said, listen, I am there day one, no questions asked. I played the game twice because I played it, I reviewed it, and then I live streamed the whole thing, and I loved it both times.
Yeah.
The game is that good.
See, okay, so I saw the trailer yesterday, and I thought it was a really good trailer. And then I went on Twitter, and I saw immediately that this game is DI and it's woke, and I did not take away from that, right? Because I don't... you see, the problem is we're now in a position, and this is 100% the games industry's fault, because they've made their games so incredibly toxic that as soon as the fan base sees a female lead character, they just immediately go, oh, woke. And then it's like, bro.
And by the way, to the people that started pointing out that like, oh, they made her a lady samurai because of course. And a lot of these people have also praised Ghost of Tsushima in the past because it has a male protagonist. Let me tell you, there's a female samurai in Ghost of Tsushima who plays a pretty big fucking role in that game.
Well, the thing is, but you see, this is exactly it. If this game launched, I will say 6 or 7 years ago, no one would have batted an eyelid. Because to me, and I say this as someone that is on the front lines of the character of the culture wars. Go to my channel, Akalon TV, and check out every single video. I pretty much only make videos about these gaming companies doing scumbag things within the gaming industry. It is what I do. And I say this because I feel it is important for people to understand. The character being female is not what makes the character woke or DEI. The character being black isn't what makes the character woke or DEI. What makes a character woke or DEI is if that race or gender or whatever is a token only there to tick a box. That is what it is. So if you have a female character that is just girl bossing all over the place, and there is no explanation for why this character is supposed to be cool other than, look, girl boss power, that is what turns that character into a woke DEI character. If the character has a phenomenal backstory, it makes sense why the character is there. For example, is anyone in their right minds going to claim that Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, the newest 3
woke
Tomb Raiders, are people going to say that she was a DI woke character?
100%. Yep.
I don't...
Female Indiana Jones. Woke as fuck.
You see, I don't see that, and you didn't see that, right? When the games came out. She was phenomenally well written.
100% girl boss.
Phenomenally well written, phenomenal storyline, and she played the role perfectly well, right? It makes sense. In fact, I would call it DI if you suddenly turn Tomb Raider into a male. You'd be like, dude, what the fuck? Tomb Raider is Lara Croft. Go make an Indiana Jones game if you want to have a male.
They're making one of those.
Yeah. Look, shit. But fundamentally, I don't see this. Just because a character happens to be female doesn't automatically mean that the game is woke or anything of that nonsense. It could literally just be a creative decision. They did a phenomenal story of a male samurai in Ghost of Tsushima, and they looked at their next game and they said, you know what? We have this other really cool story that we want to tell, and it makes sense for this character to be female based on the story that we're trying to tell, right? And if that works, then it works. Who gives a shit? I certainly do.
By the way, I would just like to point out, because I will always point this out whenever Ghost of Tsushima comes into the limelight again, because I will never forget, I will never forgive. Ghost of Tsushima got fucking robbed in the year that it came out. It should have won Game of the Year over Last of Us 2, no questions asked, as somebody that played both games. And by the way, it's not even close. They don't even deserve to be in the same fucking category, okay? And anybody who doesn't agree with that, I don't give a fuck what you say. Ghost of Tsushima is 10 times the game that Last of Us 2 will ever be. And Last of Us 2 is still a pretty good game,
now,
apart from me not liking the story.
I do want to say, one of the things that is definitely not doing Ghosts of Yotei, or whatever however the fuck you say that, any favors, is the voice actress for the game. The girl who does the main voice for the main character. She has gone out on a blocking campaign and just blocking everyone. Anyone that has any slight disagreement, slight differences, she is blocking all of them right through. Which to me is the literal worst way that you handle these things. It's so annoying when game companies come out.
Erika Ishii.
Yeah, when game companies come out and they just tell the audience, you don't like it, don't buy it. You don't like it, don't play our game. And it's like, bro.
Oh, somebody did that. It was Sean Layden. I was surprised that he did that.
But what bothers me about that is, this is your opportunity to actually engage in a debate or in a conversation with people that may have fears. This might be the moment, because look, I get it. I've seen some of the things about the woman that's playing the lead voice actress for this game. And yes, she herself is incredibly woke and incredibly politically left-leaning. But it might pain people to learn. Voice actors have zero fucking control over the directional writing of characters that they voice act. They walk into the studio, get handed a script, and then read the script that was written by the people who made the game.
They have some control. The thing is whether or not they do so for the benefit of the... Like, you're going to tell me that, for instance, Ben Starr had no control over how Clive was portrayed in Final Fantasy XVI? I wouldn't agree with that. I think Ben Starr put a lot of his own personality into that character.
The thing is, you can when you talk about personality, that's one thing, right? So how do I deliver the line? That's one thing, but it would also depend very much on
maybe even changing the line slightly.
Well, it would all depend on
it's up to the studio. Yeah, it's up to the studio.
It depends on the publisher and the director,
vision.
Right?
Yeah, of course,
and they won't allow her to change the character fundamentally from their actual vision.
I wouldn't expect that, but they do have some influence.
Well,
at least that's what.
If you had someone like Quentin Tarantino, they would have no discretion. Like Quentin Tarantino, famously, does not allow any ad-libbing or improv at all. You say the line.
Yes, he does.
No. He said it actively. He said it. I think it was Brad Pitt, actually, that said this. Quentin Tarantino hands you a script. You fucking read that script. If you even change a word, he goes, cut. What's the word? What's the word? Say the word. Oh. Because he writes it literally
I was thinking about the moment where... Leonardo DiCaprio cut his hand when he broke the glass, and then he just started pouring his own blood into the female actress, and he just like scrubbed his hand over her face.
Yeah.
That was a very iconic scene, but that was improv.
But they were... He was supposed to rub his hand on her face anyways, because he was supposed to push her away. The blood part was because his hand was fucking cut, so there was nothing he could do, but he did decide there to keep it in. Which is actually, I think when Brad Pitt was speaking about it, he was surprised that it was allowed to be kept in. Because Quentin Tarantino has a stick up his ass when it comes to his scripts. He's like, I write this exactly the way that I write it, and you do not change it. This is mine.
Listen, Quentin Tarantino is a fucking genius. He's my favorite director.
Yeah.
So,
he's awesome.
He's
right?
Like he made my favorite movie of all time, Reservoir Dogs, which is absolutely
awesome
fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You've seen it?
Yeah. I did a...
Reservoir Dogs is like the best.
Me and my friend adapted Reservoir Dogs for stage for our first or second year exam in college.
Which scene did you guys do?
The one where Mr. White, I believe, is shot. No, Mr. White is the bad guy. Who's the guy that gets shot? Mr. Something. Where he's about to die.
I think it was Mr. Orange. I think it was Mr. Orange.
Yeah, it could have been Mr. Orange, but we sort of took a couple of scenes because it ends with him dying, right? So as he's dying, that's where the play ends. So
Bro, I would take the scene where he chops the other dude's ear off with the
that was in it as well.
with the razor blade. Yeah, because it's so cool when it's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. That scene is so good, dude.
Awesome.
He's just like dancing, then goes up, chops off his ear. It's so
Dude, but
fucked up.
Quentin Tarantino, the first ever Quentin Tarantino movie I watched was From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, that one's amazing.
Yeah,
too.
which was fucking awesome.
Where basically he wrote a scene about Selma Hayek pouring champagne down her leg, and then he put himself in that scene to drink champagne off her feet.
Yep. A little degenerate fuck, that guy. But, you know, it is what it is. He's a great guy. But if you have a director like that, he won't allow you to make changes, right?
It wouldn't allow.
As an actor, you're always going to pour your own personality into the character, and it's going to change. Even the same line can mean very different things or come across very differently depending on the voice actor that you get. But voice actors are not in control of the direction of the story, because by the time you get the voice actors in, the story is already written and done. So they're not really going to allow major changes. So I don't know why people care about the exact politics of the voice actress. And newsflash, boys.
Yeah.
95% of all actors are left as fuck. So, if you're just going to want people who aren't political at all, you're going to end up with Bob working at fucking 7-Eleven doing the voices for like 5 characters in a game because Bob is the only one that happens to also have some voice training.
But basically, the way that I look at it is the studio has earned my respect with their previous title, and I'm going to check out Ghost of Yotei, no questions asked, day one.
Yeah, I'll probably, if it comes
100%,
out on PC, I'll play it as well,
It probably will, but it's going to take a while, I would imagine, because it's going to be on PlayStation first and all of that usual stuff that they do. But regardless
Although PlayStation
of that,
has done a lot more PC/PlayStation games, and they have said this is something they want to try doing.
The live service. Those are usually the live service type
but
of
maybe
games,
we
not really
see
their single player stuff.
Maybe we see more of that happening.
Look, I would be happy if that happens. That's pretty much that's where I'm at with this. But like with the whole situation, like I said, I'm going to play the game day one. I don't care, and then I will obviously bring it up if I feel like, oh, wow, they really did this game dirty or whatever, or they didn't. But I highly doubt it. I don't believe that they would destroy the brand, especially after the success of Ghost of Tsushima, which is an absolutely phenomenal game. Now, an interesting interaction that happened that I told you about last night is that as a way to kind of like, I would imagine, combat the people that are saying that the game's going to be woke and all of this stuff, we have a reporter from The Verge showing up on my timeline saying, y'all doing all this crying, hollering, and screaming over this boring, bland as fuck men? Really? And then there's a gif of Jin Sakai meditating.
I'm assuming that's the main character for the other game.
It is the main character for Ghost of Tsushima, which to me, this is just like blatantly obvious what this person is trying to do. And I just replied and I said, no, I quoted her and I was like, people like you are invested in dividing the gaming community so you can benefit off of the rage clicks for your lame-ass dying website, which is The Verge, by the way.
Yep.
You remember they were really good at making PC builds back in the day, if you remember.
Top-notch PC builds, actually. I think, by the way, that's a joke we've now made in almost every single episode of the Mythic Banter. At some point.
The Verge, bro.
The Verge PC build pops up.
But yeah, and then I followed that up with Jin Sakai was an awesome protagonist, which he was. Ghost of Tsushima is an awesome game, which it is, and I can't wait to play Ghost of Yokai. Show some goddamn respect.
Yeah.
Which, it's.
I saw.
It's just disgusting that people start now attacking the previous protagonist in the game. It's downright disrespectful. Get the fuck out of here with that energy. You're fucking scum.
It's
absolute
all
scum of the earth.
It all goes back to exactly what you spoke about, right? Divisive. Now that there's a female character, suddenly all the male characters were just the worst characters ever to be invented in the history of video gaming. And, it is what it is. But anyways.
And by the way,
yeah?
what one of the best aspects of Jin Sakai is that he is a flawed character, as part of the story.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Like, he makes mistakes. He has, character development throughout the whole thing. And that is exactly what makes it so fucking special. It's an amazing story. I loved it. I absolutely loved Ghost of Tsushima.
I hope Ghost of Yotei or Yotei does the same thing.
Yeah.
But I will say because we are running out of time, so we're going to have to deal with the rest of the show, because we actually only got about halfway through the show.
Damn.
But we have to talk very quickly. We now have absolute confirmation, ladies and gentlemen, about why Mike Morhaime left Blizzard Entertainment in 2018, or rather more beginning 2019. So it's always been the sort of rumor that Mike Morhaime left because of Bobby Kotick, but Jason Schreier's newest book, which literally is his expose on everything that happened in Blizzard. So it's the rise, the fall, and future of Blizzard Entertainment, where he did an expose. Now, Jason Schreier is a lot of things, and I hate him and I love him in equal parts. But when it comes to his exposés, they are usually on point. The guy has never been sued by a single gaming company, because when he posts something, it is always true. He has the receipts, and they know he has the receipts. So they won't go after him for anything. In his newest book, he basically explains how Mike Morhaime, since the moment that Activision acquired Blizzard, Mike Morhaime spent all of his time desperately trying to keep Activision out of Blizzard. He tried to defend the sovereignty, basically, of Blizzard. Then in 2013, Blizzard suffers that major loss that it cost them almost $80 million, and that was the cancellation of Project Titan. At that moment, Bobby Kotick forces Blizzard to hire a financial advisor, the person that chief financial officer. Before this, Blizzard never had a chief financial officer, because Mike Morhaime famously was one of the few CEOs of the gaming industry that didn't give a fuck if projects ran over budget, if, he couldn't care less about this shit. He just wanted to make really good games. Bobby Kotick forces this, and according to most of the sources inside the company, this chief financial officer wanted to cancel BlizzCon because BlizzCon wasn't making enough money. So they thought BlizzCon's money could be used elsewhere. They were constantly talking about how do we make...
Wait, before we move forward.
Yeah.
Before we move forward,
I
just want to point out the absolute lack of vision from someone who is a chief financial officer.
Yeah.
The absolute lack of vision to say something as fucking stupid, which there's no other description for this other than fucking stupid, moronic, like brain-addled statement to make.
Yeah.
That is, BlizzCon doesn't make enough money.
Yeah.
Understand that Blizzard's brand at the time was so strong that people were willing to pay upwards of $250 to go to a convention that is essentially an advertisement for Blizzard products.
Yeah.
The words BlizzCon doesn't make enough money has to be among the most stupid things that I have ever heard in my entire fucking life.
Yeah.
Because BlizzCon absolutely makes fuckloads of money. They just don't show up as a direct relationship on your stupid graphs. And Mike Morhaime likely understood that, because what does BlizzCon do? And I have been to BlizzCon, by the way. BlizzCon is an amazing community event. It builds community.
Yeah.
It keeps people in the Blizzard ecosystem.
Yeah.
Back when I went to BlizzCon, there was still this whole thing where Mike Morhaime would talk about it's a great day to be a Blizzard gamer.
Yeah.
This was a concept that existed back then.
Yeah.
Now, not so much. But back then, there absolutely were people like I think we even talked about this back on the Frozen Sodium Throne days.
Yeah.
There were people that had no idea what the fuck Steam was. They didn't know because all they had was the Blizzard launcher on their computer. They would play the games that would show up on the Blizzard launcher.
Yeah.
Steam meant fuck all to them.
Dude, there were people who were angry.
The notion that a CFO could say something as fucking stupid as BlizzCon doesn't make enough money. You're an idiot. Fire this person from a cannon.
Bro, there are
video
people
game.
who were angry, and I remember this very well, when Activision announced that Call of Duty was going to be on Battle.net. There were Blizzard gamers who were like, we don't want other games on our launcher.
Exactly.
Get this shit out of here, right?
And it shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Fuck Call of Duty. What the fuck was this?
So Blizzard gamers were very much Blizzard gamers. They didn't play other games. They played Blizzard games.
Exactly.
That is happening less and less these days. But okay, so Mike Morhaime basically renders his resignation in 2017. Bobby Kotick then convinces Mike Morhaime to stick around. In 2018, and this is where things just get so bad, Bobby Kotick forces a meeting between King, Activision, and Blizzard top brass called 1ABK. That's literally what the meeting is called. 1ABK. After that meeting, Mike Morhaime resigns from the studio with almost immediate effect.
Of course.
Because at that meeting, from what I've heard, at that meeting, it was the death of Blizzard being an independent studio.
Absolutely.
So Mike Morhaime left as a result of that. This is basically just confirmation of what we've been saying for years now, why Mike Morhaime left. Mike Morhaime always had the approach to gaming. It is consumer first, right? So it doesn't matter how much it costs to make a game. It doesn't matter. He had those famous words that would be soon TM, that became a meme in the World of Warcraft
Blizzard
space.
soon.
Blizzard soon meant sometime. No one knows fucking when. Because it's ready when it's ready.
When it's ready.
Yeah.
It meant when it's ready.
Yeah. And that's just what it became, right? Soon TM meant it's when it's ready. And you knew. Sometimes there would be droughts for 9 months at the end of an expansion. But the next expansion wasn't ready. So it wasn't ready.
You also knew that when that next thing was coming, it was going to be fire.
Yeah, you knew it was going to be good.
That was a taken.
Yeah,
it was guaranteed.
Yeah. So I mean, this was one of the few companies where I would just be like, "Take my money, bitch." Like, I don't give a fuck what it is. Oh, you don't even have a name yet for the game? It's fine. I'll pay.
I'll buy it.
Yeah, I'll buy it. Just give me the game. Right. And then when he left, all of that obviously went to shit. But that's the story. That's where we are now. Then literally, guys, this is genuinely how Rurikon hands this to me. He says to me, Remnant 2 DLC and my rant on Remnant 2.
No, it's not on Remnant 2.
Yeah, I know.
The rant is not about Remnant 2.
Rurikon is angry, boys.
Yeah.
He thinks Remnant 2 is a shit game and should never have been played by anyone.
No, not at all. No, I'm not joking. You've misread.
I know.
You're fucking trolling me right now, you bastard.
Dude, I have sat with you trying to sell me a Remnant 2. Where I tell you I don't want to play Remnant 2 and you're like, no, bro, but listen.
So Remnant 2 came out with its final DLC last week. Mm-hmm. I played the whole thing. I say I played the whole thing. I probably must have seen 60% of the DLC because that's usually how it goes with Remnant 2. Mm-hmm. When you do your first playthrough, you get to experience a little bit of the game and then you're supposed to run it again and again and again. And it's the reason I'm bringing up Remnant 2 is because I feel like this game is so criminally underrated that it just annoys the crap out of me because, for instance, and I want to make this perfectly clear, I love these two examples that I'm about to bring up, okay? Warhammer Space Marine 2, fantastic game. I love that game. I think the game is awesome, fantastic. Seen brutal success, which is great, absolutely deserves it. But in my opinion, Remnant 2 is a better game. And Remnant 2 hasn't seen as much success as Space Marine 2. And that does bother me. Another game, Black Myth Wukong. Fantastic game. Love playing that game. Amazing. Brutal success. Again, I genuinely believe Remnant 2 is a better game. And let me tell you something about Remnant 2. the reason why I consider this to be a better game, even though these are different games, so to speak, is because it's got amazing third-person shooting. It's got amazing build crafting. You can make, like, there's a bunch of different classes. I don't even know how many there are right now because each new DLC bought a new different class. So I think there's like 13 classes, maybe 14 or 12. It's between 12 and 14 classes. I don't know exactly how many they are. And you get to choose 2 of them, and you can swap them out freely, and you can change everything about your character freely. No issues, no limits, no nothing. And you can combine these to make like all of these crazy different builds that give you wildly different play styles. And there's ridiculous amounts of replayability in this game, which, by the way, a lot of people describe as Dark Souls with guns. I think it's incredibly reductive. This is almost more like Diablo because it's got procedural generation. But the thing is, and here's where it also excels again, is like, you know how in Diablo you pick up an item and you look at the stats and it's like, oh, this one has like 2% poison resist. Oh, that's great. What a fantastic item that I just picked up. Never happens in this game. You pick up an item and it's a build-defining item, whether that's a weapon, a melee weapon, a fucking ring, an amulet. Everything you pick up can be a build-defining item because there's no random items. There's no procedurally generated items. The levels are procedurally generated, but the items that you get are static.
Yeah.
And all of them are meaningful. Every time you pick something up, it's like, oh, wow, this weapon does this thing. This melee weapon does this thing.
Yeah.
It has these stats. It does and it's like, it's so incredibly good. And I hardly ever see people talk about Remnant 2. And it pisses me the fuck off. It's an amazing fucking game. I don't understand.
All right, guys, in the comment section, talk about Remnant 2 a little bit. So, Rurikon doesn't feel sad about no one wanting to play Remnant 2.
Let me tell. Have you ever seen a class where basically you have a companion dog, bro? An RPG class with a companion dog,
no.
And he's a good boy, and he resurrects you when you die, and you can have him resurrect your friends.
That's unbelievable. Dogs don't do that.
He's the best boy, dude. He's the best boy. It's amazing, dude.
I mean,
that's a class that I play.
Maybe one day I'll give Remnant 2 a go. For now, I have too many other games. I have too many other games.
You fucking better. No, that's no excuse, dude. You're playing fucking World of Warcraft. Get the fuck out of here.
Right now, I'm playing Frostpunk 2. I'm busy with that shit. It is good.
I hear good things about that.
It is good, bro. It is so much better than Frostpunk 1, and Frostpunk 1 was good. But all right,
I believe you.
2 more topics that we have to discuss. They're related to each other, but also related to other things, like Concord. I saw Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a remaster.
Oh yeah, but absolutely needed it too. Yeah, because the game didn't look already absolutely fantastic when it came out.
Yeah,
it definitely needed a like. When I first heard that PlayStation was remastering Horizon Zero Dawn, I was like, why? Why are you remastering this game? Like, understand, when they remastered Last of Us 1 for the PlayStation 4, I was like, yes, absolutely do that, because PlayStation 4 is not backwards compatible with PlayStation 3, so people can't play Last of Us on PlayStation 4. This makes absolute sense. You should most definitely remaster it. But you can play Horizon Zero Dawn on PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
There's no reason to remaster this game because the game already looks absolutely phenomenal. You don't have to remaster this game.
Yeah.
Looks great. And the worst part, I've been seeing screenshots. I don't know how accurate these are, but like one of them came from my friend Gaijin Hunter. So I'm pretty sure that he's not like fucking around. He's not posting stupid shit on the internet. And I look at the character features. Number one, for some strange reason, they decided to change the hair color of one of the characters, which I don't understand. He used to be a redhead. Now they made him into just black hair.
Okay.
And I was like, why? This doesn't make any sense.
We hate redhead.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was behind that, but on top of it, you would look at the facial expression of the character, right? And I know the scene that was shown in Gaijin's post where the character is going through like, some deep emotions with this surrogate daughter kind of like that he adopted that's not really his daughter, and he's trying to figure out because she's like not accepted by the tribe and whatnot and all these things. So he's going through all these emotions, and that is reflected in his facial expression. And then in the remaster, it just looks like he's smiling.
Yeah. Because
they fucking flattened his textures. And I was like, what the fuck? What kind of a remaster is this? Yeah. What the fuck is going on?
I mean...
And then it's like, I start looking at the kind of like subtle shift in art style. And again, I haven't seen too much about the remaster because I think the whole idea of a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster is fucking stupid. And by the way, before people start saying anything, I love Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a fantastic game. Highly recommend.
I do not.
Also love Forbidden West. Why don't you like Horizon Zero Dawn? You've played it?
Yeah. I genuinely think it's one of the most overhyped games ever. It is a game with an
Did you play Zero Dawn or Forbidden West?
Zero Dawn. The story is absolutely useless and bad. The characters are absolutely unbelievably bad. The open world is beyond fucking boring. The combat is boring. The game looks great, I will admit that, but nothing to write home about. I'd rather play Red Dead Redemption 2 if I'm going to play an open world game. There is, in my opinion, very few reason for anyone to ever play Horizon.
I disagree with literally everything that Akalon just said.
That's fine.
I love Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's a fantastic game.
But I get it's a hot take. I get it's a hot take. One
of the things that we will agree on, that game doesn't need no fucking remaster.
No, definitely not. No, I mean,
it does not need.
It could do with a rework, but that's a whole different discussion. Remaster, keep the graphics as it is, fix everything else about the fucking game.
No, I don't agree. I actually really like the story of the game. I thought it was really cool.
That's fine. I mean, I know different people are gonna like different things. I just happen to. I think I have about 20 or 25 or not even 15 hours. I think in the game, and in 15 hours,
you didn't finish it.
I couldn't get into it, bro. After 15 hours, I remember sitting in front of the game, wanting to play it again. And I sat there and I went, why am I playing this? I don't enjoy my playthrough of this.
A lot of the major story revelations happened closer to the end, which really elevated the story to a whole nother level.
The one thing I will say about the game is that the premise is super cool. I love the premise of the game. But it's sort of like, and this is why I don't take my opinion on this game too seriously. It's kind of like Fallout. Fallout is one of the largest games probably in the gaming industry, and I love the premise of Fallout. I've never been able to finish or even seriously play a single Fallout game.
I can completely understand. I've played the entirety of Fallout 4, and yeah, there were some strange moments. Like I met my son and I shot him in the face instantly.
Yeah,
I shot him straight in the face right there and then. It's like, no, you're not.
I just can't get into, like, I don't know why. I can't get into Fallout and I couldn't get into Horizon. But different people are going to like different things. That's perfectly fine. The one thing that I can agree on is, even now, that game looks phenomenal. It's a really gorgeous game.
It does.
And its graphics is stylized enough. It's not a super stylized game, but it's stylized enough that it doesn't require a complete rework or a complete remaster. Because the graphics is its own graphics. It looks good.
And then they decide to charge $10 for people that already have the game for this rework of graphics. And I'm just like, no. You don't, no.
But of course, we're now talking about pricing, and this is where it will end. Apparently, PlayStation game pricing is in some countries. So in Canada, I saw someone say the games are twice the original price suddenly for some PlayStation games that's being listed now. Games that's going to come out, right? It's like minimum $100 for the game. I can't remember exactly what game it was, but apparently PlayStation game pricing, people are calling it Concordflation. People are saying because Concord lost Sony millions of dollars, Sony is now charging more for their games in order to make up
Do you
for
think
it.
Concord was actually 400 million bucks?
No. And I made a video at the time saying it isn't. And then everyone was like, oh, bro, it could easily be. And then an actual official statement came out that said the game was closer to, I think, 240 or 250 million. It was never 400 million.
Even that is a lot. I feel like a lot of that was probably budget for those cinematics that they were working on. They were probably halfway with a lot of those cinematics already, and that's probably where most of the budget went.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I think most of it went into the cinematics and the art rather than gameplay, and that is where the problem is.
From what I've heard...
See, that's the exact opposite of Remnant 2. All of the budget of Remnant 2 went into gameplay. All of it.
Yeah. But I think what ended up, or what mostly in this instance is happening, because it turns out that everything that the guy said about his inside sources is true, except for the budget bit. So it is possible that when Sony came in, they had to spend an extra 100 or 150 million in order to get the game into a playable state, and that then, alongside the original 100 or maybe 150 million odd, can push the game towards 250 million, even though it isn't PlayStation that paid 250 million for the game, right? PlayStation probably paid a couple of billion for the game that failed miserably because they bought the fucking studio that makes the game, and then it failed. But that is it from me and Rurikon for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Let us know in the comment section down below which one of these controversies have been your favorite and which one are you... Mine is Ubisoft, just going to be honest. And if you don't subscribe, the blue-haired sword guy from Smash Bros. Is getting it.
That's a good one. You got
That's all I remember from what you said. It's the Smash Bros.
Sword guy from Smash Bros. That's right. They know exactly who we're talking about. The sword guy from Smash Bros. Gets it if you don't subscribe.
Yep. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for watching. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And we will see all of you in the next one. Peace.